In this first task, we're going to change the page margins of the document. So basically what we want to do is get this text a little bit closer to the actual page border. It's about 1 inch off now. We're going to change it from left to right to about half an inch instead. And from the top and bottom border, we're going to change it to 0.75 instead of the 1 inch default. So the way you would change the page margins is to go to the Layout tab, and then under the margins option, click the drop arrow here. Now, if you want to do this really quickly and just get the text in your document closer to that actual page border, you would click narrow, but this one wants us to do a custom margin here. So we'll just change the top and bottom quickly to 0.75 inches and the left and right margins to 0.5. Okay, so once we've adjusted those margins, we just have to make sure that we apply it to the whole document and then press OK. And then you should see that the text goes a little bit closer to the edge of the page than it was before. And even though it's not really part of this section, I'm going to show you how to do graphics and images and move them around in part 5 out of 6 in this series, but I just kind of moved the T-Rex around just so it made sense. For the second task, we're going to insert a custom header on each page in the document except the first one. Now, you're not going to have this dino header. This is something I created and I'm proud to share with you, but at least we'll go through, because they place any custom header that you create at the bottom, we'll go through some of the headers that you might be asked on your exam, but you probably won't be asked to do a custom header. That's way too many steps in there. So let's just say insert the given headers, but you may not have heard of some of these. So we'll explore some of the ones that you could be asked on your exam. So we go to the insert tab, we'll go to the header drop arrow, and this is some of the ones: the Austin one, faucet, ion, motion, viewmaster, wisp, all that kind of stuff. So maybe you might just want to explore some of that just in case you're asked one of these and you're not sure where to locate it. But we've got our dino one here, so we're going to choose that one. And then we're not done there. We have to click different first page, because if this was a title page, we definitely wouldn't want this header on the title page. So we're going to click different first page. And then the big step here is remembering to close the header and footer. I think people can get stuck in this and then try to move to other parts of the document. Just remember to close header, footer. And as you can see, it's not on the first page, but it is on every page after that. So we've done exactly what the task is asking us. Now for this task, it's asking us to change the style set, not to be confused with the style in the home tab. The style in the home tab will change the look of one single line of text. So if you wanted to change this part, Dino Facts, to heading 1, heading 2, or a title style, you could do that. Style sets would change the heading, heading 2, title, and just a whole bunch of things with your whole document. So if you're asked to change the style set, that's not in the home tab. It's in the design tab. So we'll go there. These are the style sets and the style set gallery. It says document formatting, but it's because the style sets alter the look of your entire document. So think about that. Style sets are in the design tab. Styles are in the home tab. And the two most popular ones on this exam, just like the two most popular dinosaurs, which would probably be the T-Rex and Velociraptors, this one is one of the popular ones that tend to be asked on your exam, line stylish, but also I think the center one would also be asked. If you look here, this is the line stylish one. So we're going to choose that one in just a moment, but let me find the centered one. It looks just like it sounds. So the center text here, centered or some kind of lines variation is usually asked on these exams. We're going to apply the line stylish, and look how stylish that looks. And it applied to the whole document, which is nice, which is why style sets are sometimes better than just applying like one single style and then trying to add that to multiple parts of the document. You can just use style sets. It'll change the whole look of your document, and you can kind of play around with that. So this page orientation task might seem like a friendly one. It might seem easy, but it's a mean one.
Nice dinosaur. Oh, thought you were one of your big brothers. You're not so bad. You're not so
So it's a mean kind of task because this is what can typically trip people up on this type of task. If you assume that, well, I'm just going to put my insertion point somewhere on page 1, and then it should just know that I only want to change the orientation of this page. So we'll try it. We'll go put our insertion point on somewhere on page 1, click the orientation, click landscape, and then it happens to every page in your document, and that's not what we want. So what you want to do instead is put your insertion point at the first part of page 1 or whatever page you're asked to change to landscape, and then click and hold the shift key on your keyboard and then select the last paragraph on the page. And that's going to highlight everything on that page, even if you had pictures on there. And then we would go to our page setup dialog box launcher here. So I'll click on that. From here, we can change the orientation from landscape, but we want to change the apply to option to selected text. So because we selected all of our text on page 1, and then we applied it to only the selected text, only page 1 should get the landscape orientation when we click OK. Now, if something like this happens to you where they've inserted a different page, just click on the page, click delete on your keyboard. It's an easy fix. And there we go. So we've changed the page orientation of only page 1 and left the rest of the document as it is. And for this task, we're going to add some file properties to this document by adding Dino as a category. So file properties can help you if you want to distinguish between two different files that might look similar. They might even have similar names. So adding some metadata in there will help you decide which document you want to open. So to get there and add this as a category in the file properties area, go to File, and then on the Info tab here, on the right side here, there's like document properties. The one that we need, of course, on your exam, they're going to choose one that's not automatically available. So you would click Show All Properties if it's not available, and then look for the one we want. We want a category here. So we're going to choose Dino as the category, and then just click outside of there. And that's how you would complete that kind of task involving file properties. While we're in this backstage view, we might as well check the document for accessibility issues, and there's an error that we're going to find. There's also some warnings which are less serious than errors when it comes to trying to make your document inclusive for those that might have disabilities and have a hard time reading parts of your document. So really pay attention to the errors. The warnings are kind of more suggestions, but the errors you should definitely fix. So we're going to do that by going to the check for issues and then check accessibility. And then it's going to give us, see some warnings down here, is like some of the colors might be hard to read and things like that. You can change that, but this one should definitely be changed. So this is the header row. So there's no header row in the table, which might make that hard to read for somebody. So we can quickly change that by saying use first row as a header. And then you can see, okay, now it's more pronounced. We can see what the heading is. It's different than the actual values in the table. So it might be easier to read now. And then we can just close this accessibility page here. And there we go. We've made it easier for someone to read. For this task, we're going to inspect the document and remove any headers, footers, and watermarks. And I know that's going to undo the header that we added, but don't worry. In the 5th part of this series, we'll show you how to add some really cool graphics, including headers and footers to your document. So we'll go to the File tab. Again, this backstage view, and then we're going to inspect the document. So in the Info tab, we'll go to Check for Issues and then Inspect Document. And then we'll say, yes, you do want to open that. And then we'll click Inspect. Sometimes, depending on which version of the exam you get, you'll have to take out the document properties and personal information. For this one, it's the headers, footers, and watermark. But either way, we would just click Inspect. Don't bother unselecting all of these. Just inspect them all, and we'll move to the next step. Okay, so now that we're here, so if you had document properties and personal information, you'd click Remove All. But we don't have that. This is inspecting to see if we've got any headers, footers, or watermarks, and this is saying, yes, you do. You have headers and footers. Would you like to get rid of them? And we would say yes by clicking Remove All, and then we'll click Close, and you can see the header disappeared. Don't worry, we'll add it back later. Now that we've made most of the setting changes that we need, we're going to save the document as a text file named Dino Memo. And there's 2 types of text files. I'll show you which one you have to choose if you get a task like this one. So we'll click File and then Save As. And then it says, probably save it in your Documents folder on your exam. And we're going to change the name to Dino Memo. And then we're going to, instead of saving this as a Word document, we're going to change this to Save As type to, there's 2 types that are very similar. The rich text format, which will allow some of the styles and colors to pop through, but the plain text will just be like just plain text, just no styles or formatting attached, but just text. And that's what this task is asking us to do. So save it as a plain text file. and call it Dino Memo. In the Documents folder, we'll click Save, and then you'll get something file conversion that looks like this. We'll press OK. And then you just save this, an alternate version of this document, as a text file. For this task, we're going to save a copy of the document as a template and one that does not support macros. So when you save it as a template, there's no option that says one that does not support macros, but we can use deductive reasoning to pick the right type of template when it comes to the Save As type. So we'll go to the File tab, we'll click on Save As, and then we'll browse to our Documents folder, and then we'll just call this Dino. And then the Save As type, we want to change it to, see, there's two types of template. There's the Word macro enabled template, and then there's the other one. So this is the one we want. They've sort of hinted that without saying that it's just a Word template. So that's the one we want to choose. And then make sure, again, that you're in your Documents folder while you save this. Save it as Dino. And now we've saved this as a template, but one that does not support macros.